Okay, so my name is Coogan Brennan. I work at Consensus Software, which is a blockchain software company. We make a lot of products like MetaMask and Truffle and Infura, which you might be familiar with if you're in the blockchain space. I do specifically education and what's called developer relations, which is essentially writing tutorials, working with developers, working with people like Omar, who is making pivots into the field from another field. And so the biggest thing that we run is our bootcamp, which we just opened the registration for. This is like a 3.5 month camp, which is if you have background in coding, it's a great way to get acquainted with the principles, sort of up to speed with all the stuff that you need to become a blockchain developer. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm just going to sort of maybe have a couple of points just about some of the tips if you're going into learning about blockchain. It's a very new field, and it's developing very quickly. So I just wanted to give a couple tips for folks who are starting that. So the biggest thing I want people to take away is that blockchain is a learner-led ecosystem. And what this means is that this technology was developed in late 2000, like 2008, 2010. It's extremely, extremely new. And for something that has gathered so much attention, it's extraordinary. So it's developing very, very quickly. Now it builds on a lot of older technologies, such as cryptography and distributed computing, and it ties them together in a different way. But as a new model, blockchain is extremely new. So as a result, if you even the people who are considered senior are always learning new things pretty dramatically, and so I think that's both very exciting, but it can also be a little bit it's different than other fields. Perhaps even something like machine learning or artificial intelligence has at least a few decades behind it of people who have been doing work behind it, linear algebra, all these sorts of things. And so it's just a little bit different for people who come in. It might, you might assume that there's more seniority there, and we'll get into that in just a second. But for me, that makes my job really great. I get to learn all the time. I get to teach people about it. I really enjoy that and really appreciate it. Just a little bit about us. The educational arm of Consensus called Academy. We ran our first boot camp in 2017, and we have run one every year since. We've provided instruction to over 50,000 students. This includes in-person trainings that we've done at hackathons and companies, as well as our online things. We have a really great meetup group called the Biddle Network, which we encourage you to join. And that also has a number of different members. And alumni, people who have gone through our program, have gone on to work at some major companies, both in the larger enterprise world as well as the blockchain space as well. But we provide content for all levels, so you should totally go to courses.consensus.net. Like I mentioned earlier, and it'll take you here, courses.consensus.net, and you can see all our courses here. This is one that we just launched 2 weeks ago called Basic Training. It's really great. This is kind of all the software skills that you need before learning blockchain that a lot of other, and just sort of any sort of software engineering in general, it's good to have. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Like I mentioned, we're doing our boot camp. Now we've just opened our registration for our boot camp. And so this would start in September. It's a 3.5 month synchronous program with twice weekly office hours and presentations from teams within Consensus, as well as blockchain protocols and teams outside of Consensus. It's a fairly steep cost, but we do have discounts and scholarships available for folks. We had about 250 students attend our last, and our completion rate is 70%, and the industry standard is about 15%. And so as you can see, it's like a very engaging experience where people really are learning the material, sticking with it, and we really kind of encourage people to keep moving through the course. The content is a comprehensive understanding of blockchain, meaning we're trying to teach you general principles, but we focus on Ethereum specifically with the products that we use. But it's relatively blockchain agnostic. I'll talk about that in a second as well. So just I'm going to skip through some of these slides. Some of the work that I do is, uh, like I said, is sort of looking at new things in the space. So for example, Ethereum 2.0 launched at the end of last year, and it was while we were doing the boot camp. And so even while we were teaching this material, the students were able to ask questions about Ethereum 2.0, what was happening there. And that shaped how I published these series of articles. And so it just sort of shows just how quickly the space is developing, where something while we were teaching it was dramatically changing the protocol. And so we had to accommodate it. And it was fun because we were all learning at the same time. You know, even though I'm considered to be the instructor, I was learning all this stuff alongside the students. And so I think that's a really nice and really exciting part of the program. Another thing that we do is provide resources to people in the space. And so we have, this is the DevCon Scholar group, and here's Aman right here in the corner. She was a great DevCon Scholar. And this is something that we're able to provide to students through scholarships and that sort of thing. And it's just a really nice way that we can give back to the community there. So again, I just want to reiterate that you know, it's a really young space, and specifically that there are a couple sort of tips that I would give if you're coming into the space, just as someone who is new to it and wants to learn. The first is that in traditional software development, you're a senior developer if you've been using the product for about 10 years. And now Ethereum's only been around since 2014. So there's no senior Ethereum developers technically. And so this won't be true for that much longer as time goes on. But as of right now, there just aren't that many. They're just, you know, it's just a new space. And so that's a really exciting opportunity. Because that means you can come in and in a relatively short period of time, you can become sort of top of the field in terms of how much you know about blockchain, just because even though it's a very, you know, a lot of people are talking about it, very few people actually understand the technicals and the different mechanisms that go into actually making up blockchain. So that's one thing that I like to tell people as they're coming into the space. They might feel intimidated. They might feel as though they're not able to, you know, make an impact. And I just want to emphasize that it's a very young space, and there are not a lot of people who know this technology and know this information. And so as a result, there's a really good opportunity for young, new students to come into this space and make a fairly outsized impact. Again, that won't be true for much longer, just given the amount of institutional and media attention that people have. More people are coming to the space, but for now, it's true. The second thing is that I wanted to show this slide here, that this is all the sort of information and sort of material that you need to know to go into blockchain. And this is why I think it's very hard for people to really get a full sense of what exactly is going on. Here you can see all these different fields. We have distributed systems from this side, which has all these really interesting parts of it, which again can be applicable to any field. You know, if you're working at Amazon, at AWS, you have to figure out all this stuff as well. We have cryptography here, which is a huge field. as well. We have governance, which is becoming this big topic in terms of who decides to make what changes to the networks. And then we have economics, of course, in terms of that there is value built into the protocol as well. And so there's a lot of interesting sort of discussions around what does it mean to have value associated with a protocol. So there's a lot of information here. And one of the things, and it can be very overwhelming for students. And so one of the things that we like to sort of say in our material and the way that we present this stuff is, don't worry about facts. Don't memorize facts. What you really want to do is develop a framework for understanding blockchain as a whole. You want to sort of get your first principles down. That means understanding what are distributed systems, what's cryptography, what's governance, what's economics, you know, on a really, really basic standpoint. You want to try to find those first principles and then build up from there. And so in our bootcamp, we talk first about cryptography and distributed computing, and then we talk about how all of that built up to Bitcoin, and then how that led to the current state of networks now. We try not to talk about individual products or DeFi protocols, or at least emphasize that in our materials, because those will change. But what we do try to talk about are the principles that will be what's called evergreen, which will, you know, will not go out of style and will allow you a very strong framework with which to consume the new information that's going to be coming in, right? So, I mean, we start teaching the boot camp in September. It finishes in December. By the time it's done, there's already new stuff. There's already significant new stuff in the field. And so, how do we actually deal with that? Is that we can't, you know, keep up with that pace in the way that we'd like to. But what we can do is provide that framework where you can then be able to decide where these different new developments go, where to kind of file them away in your cabinet, whether or not you need to dig down into them, that sort of thing. We like to sort of give you that framework to be able to go forward and be able to learn and be able to become like a really discerning, agile, flexible individual in the space, rather than somebody who has this fixed set of knowledge that will break as soon as there are new developments. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, and after this I'll be done, is that cryptocurrencies and blockchains are the first products or protocols to have funding built into them. What that means is the more popular a protocol becomes, the more valuable it's worth. And so that's very unusual, right? That Bitcoin becomes more valuable the more people talk about it and the more people use it. It's a very interesting sort of paradigm. And as a result, there's a tremendous amount of money and sort of financial terms that get thrown around. I want to tell you to try not to be distracted by the money. It's obviously a driver for a lot of folks. I won't pretend that it's not a driver even for me, but you also need to have an enthusiasm for these principles and for that framework that I mentioned, to make sure that you are able to ride the waves, because these kind of the money stuff goes up and down. And ultimately, those are secondary valuations. What you really want to focus on is what are the primary values and what are the primary things that these are contributing to our society, you know, going to be able to help people or going to be interesting problems for me to address and deal with. If you're able to do that, you can sort of ride through a lot of these very volatile markets and that sort of thing. So that's what I would just say. Obviously, it's very important that people are able to make money, that they can have jobs that support them. I'm 100% for that. But you don't want it to become the thing that you chase, because it's too crazy. It's just too hectic and there's no real rationale that is easy to discern behind it. So with that, I'll end my presentation there. I have a discount code for you all. We were so grateful that Aman asked us to present that this is a $200 discount from the bootcamp if you register today. If you also follow us on social media stuff, it's Consensus Academy or Consensus Acad on Twitter, and I can provide the Discord link that people can come and ask more questions about that. But yeah, please check out our courses.consensus.net. Please check out this basic training course. I'm really proud of this one. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. And yeah, that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Coogan, for this amazing presentation. Personally, I have learned a lot from the courses you have provided on Consensus Academy, especially the course that talks about the meta transaction. I really enjoyed it and love it so much. Explained the idea behind this in a very easy way. Coogan is one of the best teachers I don't know the exact English word to say, but your explanation is very simple, easy, and go to your heart. Also, thank you so much for sharing the discount code. Much appreciated, really. And I want to emphasize what you have mentioned, that joining blockchain space will give you like a good opportunity that might change your life. And personally, joining you and DevCon Scholar, yeah, it changed my life, to be honest. And I won't be here without this opportunity. It opened lots of doors for me and gave me a lot of credibility and connected me with the amazing people like you, Susie, who are very supportive, and lots of people. To be honest, I cannot. It's very hard for me now. I'm about to fall to die. But if you remember all the names, amazing names I met, but I met a lot of amazing people, and I always say that the blockchain community is very friendly and welcome contribution and help.
That's great. That's very well said. That's great. I really appreciate that. Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. Absolutely welcome.
I have a question, Coogan, if it's possible.
Yes, of course.
Regarding scholarships, how we can apply for scholarships, and regarding payment, can we pay like a monthly raise? Because like I'm an employee and I cannot pay in one time.
Sure. No, I totally understand. Yeah, if you go to our Discord, which I just put the link in the chat, we can talk about that there. And we work with a number of different organizations and to provide scholarships. So we can, we're happy to work with people on that. We really just want to have this education open to all. And Omar, if you join the chat, I think the Discord, you'll also see that there's a lot of value that you can get without having to pay for the course as well. Yeah, just very understandable. We understand it's a very high price point. We're really trying to make it much more affordable for folks. We had about 250 participants last year, and 100 of those were scholarship recipients. So it's, we really do understand that it's a high rate. And so yeah, we're going to try to change that. But if you go to the Discord, I can talk more about that with you.
I'm already there. I am already there, and then introduce myself.
Oh, yeah. Good. Great. Fantastic. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Well, Coogan, I would appreciate if you here in Hova, we will leave this platform for about 6 months, if I'm not wrong, and the records will be there available for all the audience to access and reach out the speakers if they have any question, inquiries, want to think. I would appreciate if you just drop these links or any link that any audience interested in entering blockchain space through Consensus Academy through your profile on Hova. Is that possible?
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Because they will watch the video and they might be interested in at least saying thank you and ask questions. And all the links dropped in the chat, it's not accessible after the session.
Yes, right.
That's why I'm
Okay,
asking.
yeah,
I'm caring about the important links you have
yes,
shared.
no. Sure, no, that's a great idea. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you so much.
No, of course, thank you, Aman. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk with everybody.
I'm looking forward to inviting you next year in Egypt or any Arab countries, because we are planning to, yeah, to make it like a hybrid, allow anyone to connect virtually, because we don't want to make any barrier, and make it in person to like strengthen the connections and the relations between all the blockchain community in Arab. And you know, it's a small community, and we are trying our best to build it together with collaboration. And the collaboration, in my opinion, is Arab. It's like internal cooperation between the Arab blockchain enthusiasts, as well as connecting us, or the building bridge between the local community and the global community as well. So I really appreciate accepting my invitation and giving us this session. Thank you so much, Coogan, for your time, for the amazing session, and for your endless support as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, Aman, you've done an incredible work helping to connect all those different communities, and I'm so honored to be asked to speak here. I really appreciate it, and thanks everybody for your questions and for attending.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks everyone. Come to our Discord, come chat, and I'll talk to you later. Yeah, thank you all so much. Alrighty, have a great rest of your day, rest of the sessions.
Bye-bye.